aspect of the ethics. Okay, meta ethics. What is meta ethics? Like meta ethics is like theoretical meaning and reference of moral proposition and how their truth values may be determined. This dimension is ethics investigate where our ethical principle comes from and what they means. And merely social intervention, do they involve more than expression of our individual emotions? So this is the meta ethics. Now is metaphysical issue. Meta physical issue. Metaphysical issues are like what is the human convention, what is the moral value, eternal truth that exists in spirit like realm or simple human convention. So one otherworldly and one is worldly proponent of like we can say metaphysical issues are like what is exists in this world, like 1 plus 1 is 2. This is mathematics. So human did not invent numbers and human cannot alter them also. The second and more this worldly approach to the metaphysical status of morality follow in the skeptical philosophical tradition that articulated by Greek philosopher Sextus Empiricus denies the objective status of moral value. Okay, so individual relativism, which hold individual creates their own moral standards, and cultural realism also. So if you build that foundation, both the moral and ethical foundation as well as the business foundation and experience foundation. So psychological issues are a second area of meta ethics, involve the psychological basis of our moral judgment and conduct, particularly understanding what motives us to moral. Why be moral? Even I am aware of basic moral standards such as don't kill and don't steal. This does not necessarily mean that one is psychologically completed. Why he should be moral? Normative ethics. So, what are the normative ethics? Normative ethics. What are the normative ethics? Normative ethics takes on the more practical task, which is to arrive at moral standards that regulate right and wrong conduct. So what is right and what is wrong? That is the normative ethics. Okay. So one can say that normative ethics is a search for an ideal litmus test of proper behavior. We should do not others what we would want others to do us. Okay, this is the normative ethics. So next is theory of normative ethics, virtue theory. Many philosophers believe that morality consists of following precisely defined rule of conduct, such as don't kill, don't steal. Presumably, I must learn these rules, and they make sure each of action live up to the rules. Virtue ethics is, however, place less emphasis on the learning rules, and instead stress the importance of developing good habits, such as benevolence. I will then habitually act in benevolent manner. So Plato emphasized four virtue in particular, which were later called cordial virtue: wisdom, courage, temperance, justice. These are the cordial virtue by the Plato. Sincerity, good temper, self-respect. uh, there should not be some bad characteristics like cowardice, insensibility, injustice, vanity. Okay, so adults therefore are responsible for instilling virtue in a young. Next is this is the normative ethics. The next is deontological theory. Deontological theory is many of us feel that there are clear obligation we have as human beings, such as to care for our children and not to commit murder. These theories base morality on specific fundamental principle of obligation. These theories are called deontological. Like what are fundamental principle of morality? So due to its origin from the Greek word, in view of the foundation nature of duty or obligation, they are also sometimes called non-consequential, like obligatory irrespective of the consequences that might follow from our action. It is wrong to do care for our children even if result in some great benefits. Okay, so this is the deontological theories. Like deontological theories are these theories based morality on a specific fundamental principle of obligations. This is deontological due to its origin from Greek word and duty. What the word? Duty. Okay. So they are sometimes called as non-consequentialist since their principle are obligatory. These are obligatory. Okay. Next is what consequential theory. Consequential theory. Consequentialist theory. So consequentialist theories are common for us to determine our moral responsibility by weighting by consequences of our actions. So there are our actions and there are our consequences. Okay, so cost benefit analysis. Now teleological theories are also there. Teleological theories from the Greek word telos, that means end. Since the end result of action is the sole determining factor of the morality, one isn't necessarily born with courage, but one is born with potential without courage. We cannot practice any other virtue with consistency. We can't kind, true, merciful, generous, honest. So teleological theory is for the end, and consequential theory is for the cost benefit analysis, like what is good, what is bad consequences of an action, determining whether the total good consequences or the total bad consequences. Next is utilitarianism. Okay, Utilitarianism is like important form of consequentialism. It's like Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. Utilitarianism believe that an action is morally right and acceptable if it promotes happiness, morally wrong if it is produce reverse of happiness. So happiness of greater number of people in the society is considered the greatest good. That is the utilitarianism. Now I'm discussing about some more theories. First is egoism. Egoism is oneself. Okay, next is utilitarianism, happiness. Nationalism is for nation. Nationalism is for the nation. Epistemism is knowledge. Epistemism. Epistemism is knowledge. Non-consequential is deontological and right, duty, contract, and fairness. Okay, now we are going to discuss about the applied ethics. Applied ethics. So applied ethics is ethical theory in order to inquire what a person is obliged to do in some very specific situation or within some particular domain of action. This dimension involves examining specific controversial issues such as abortion, infanticide, animal right, environmental concerns, homosexuality, capital punishment, nuclear war. In recent years, applied ethics issues have been subdivided into like what is medical ethics, business ethics, environmental ethics, sexual ethics, and two features are necessary for the issue considered in applied ethics also. Issue needs to be controversial in a sense that there are significant group of people both for and against the issue at the hand. So issue of drive-by shooting. Okay, so these are the applied ethics. So now biomedical ethics. What is the biomedical ethics? Biomedical ethics. Biomedical ethics is like a range of issues which arise in clinical setting, like healthcare worker are in unusual positions for life and death situation. It's not surprising that then medical ethics issue more extreme and diverse than other areas, because it arises about morality of surrogate mother, genetic manipulation of fetus, the status of unusual frozen embryo, and abortion. Other issue arise from patient rights, physician responsibilities, and all that. Like AIDS crisis has raised specific issue of mandatory screening of all patients of AIDS. Okay, now business ethics. Business ethics is about the relating to the social responsibilities of business practice, like corporate entity, deceptive advertising, insider trading, basic employee rights, job discrimination, and action, drug testing, whistleblowing. Environmental ethics is for the like issues like morality of animal, experimentation, preservation of endangered species, pollution control, management of environment resources, whether ecosystem or ethical, to direct moral consideration and obligation of future. Sexual morality is about the monogamy versus polygamy, sexual relation without love, homosexual relations, and all that. Military ethics is for the military means understood applied professional ethics. Political ethics is like judgment should be not politically inflated, and it should be like bureaucratic decision making should be there, and more moral judgment, political action, political agents should be according to the constitution. And just as treasure are uncovered from the earth, so virtue appears from good deeds, and wisdom appears from pure and peaceful mind. To walk safely through the maze of human life, one needs the light of wisdom and guidance of virtue. Other dimension are moral psychology. Moral psychology, it is field of study involving both philosophy and psychology. Some use the term moral, study of moral development. Others tends to use the term more broadly to include any topic at the interaction of ethics, psychology, and philosophy of mind. So moral reasoning, moral responsibility, moral development, moral diversity. Okay, value theory is what? Descriptive ethics is what? Descriptive ethics is what to do people thinks is right. Normative ethics, how should people act? Applied ethics, how do we take moral knowledge? And meta ethics, what does right even means? Okay, ethics in a person private relationship, like if personal relationship we are talking about, Ramayana is a classic example of ethics in personal relationship. Relation between father and son, son and mother, husband and wife, between the two brothers, all have been beautifully portrayed in it. It gives us ideal set of principle which every person should try to follow in their personal life. And private ethics, important of ethics in personal relations, like personal relations are like ethics shown in private relations often form a major part of morality. Like there's a child who lies to the father for not going to the school, or a child taking some money from his friend and not giving back. These are common things but can affect the morality of person if their things happens on regular basis. And then guilt which arises due to immoral behavior which start decreasing, and then same kind of behavior is shown the public relation also. That's why ethic in personal relations are very important. Father giving bribe to the child for not disclosing some information, or doing something secretly, can affect the morality of child. Example, ethics in personal relation are love, honesty, decency, manner, equality. Ethics in public relationship, what is the public relationship? Like international, national, socio-cultural, political or organization level. This is called the public relationship in the ethics. Okay, now we are going to discuss some points like public relationship, bipolar relationship, like private relationship and public relationship. So there can be relationship between employee, relationship between colleagues, relationship between friends, relationship between mothers, children, saying good morning to the stranger, relationship between organ of government also. And now we are discussing some like what is the harmony points and what is the conflict points in the ethics. So harmony points are like promote the physical emotions, mental well-being, peace, harmony, may leads to stagnation. Like if we are not going for harmony, that may leads to the stagnation, original thinking, conformity and adherence to group decision making. If there is a conflict like unrest and confusion, then socio-cultural changes, reform or change in government and political ideology, disintegration, absence of law and order, legitimacy of the government. So these are some ethical like values we should have in our life. Okay.